England with a huge win over Iran. It took 35 minutes for England to open the scoring, but when they did, whew, they did indeed. Jude Bellingham started things off after Iran actually saw their goalie carted off due to an injury. It was 3-0 at the half. Bukayo Saka, Raheem Sterling tallying before the break. In the second half, Saka would add another. Then the subs got involved. Marcus Rashford scoring, Jack Grealish scoring. The final score, 6-2. By the way, for Iran, both goals coming from Mehdi Taremi, one from the penalty spot in stoppage time. The statistics from this game, guys, very much underline England's dominance. They had 78% possessions as the Three Lions get 3 points in their World Cup opener. Very good news for manager Gareth Southgate. Thrilled then to welcome into our show Futbol Americas, actually for the first time, Nedum Onuoha, former Premier League.
You didn't invite Nedum before?
Yeah, no, I haven't. I just haven't got around to it. My bad. Former Premier League Championship and MLS defender.
Right.
Former under-21 England international.
That's right.
But perhaps the most impressive thing on your CV, you are my roommate here in Qatar.
That's a fact. What an honor and a
How are
privilege.
you holding up in that?
I'm doing okay.
Is he as sloppy as he looks?
Probably worse, but nobody has to see it, so it's all good.
Your thoughts on the England performance? You know, from a neutral, if we're not being too analytical, boy, 6-2, there's not much to complain about, right?
No, not much. You know, you could see the downside in terms of the 2 goals they conceded.
Right.
But overall, to be scoring 6 goals at a World Cup is very impressive. I think, obviously, the Iranian side wasn't the best side they'll see on this journey, but they still did the things right. They attacked well. They overall defended well. They controlled the game well. And it's nice everyone got confidence. And I think all the goal scorers, I think those are their first goals in a World Cup.
That's what I'm saying. It's more important, like, who scored the goals.
Exactly.
Bukayo Saka was plus 15,000 to come in as Golden Boot leader in this World Cup. So if you would have put some cash on there, you'd be a rich man right now. I mean, tournament ends today, that's your winner.
That's exactly right. And it was good to see because I think a lot of people have an issue with Gareth Southgate and him being a bit more conservative and defensive. But he went for a back 4 instead of more of like a 3 and 4. And they really went for it. You know, they moved the ball well. And then people went to see Bellingham. So he gave them Bellingham.
It's going to be a bidding war for him.
Yeah, exactly. And then he scores that goal. Second youngest ever goal scorer for England at World Cup, was that?
Michael Owen, the youngest.
The former Ballon d'Or, Michael Owen, yes. It's a good start.
Is the biggest thing we picked up on England today just the depth? I mean, in terms of different guys who can score, but then, I mean, when they take the shot of the sideline and you see who they're bringing in, there's not a lot of teams. There's not a lot of teams that can bring that off their bench.
Having been a defender in my past, there's nothing worse than when you've played in the game, you've been working really hard, and then the subs board goes up and you see who's on the side. And for England, they were taking off 3 good players and bringing on Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, and Phil Foden. Like, that is significant depth. And then you bring on Callum Wilson for Harry Kane, and even though he's not as significant as him right now, he offers a threat in behind and a desperation to score goals. So I think that depth really will matter. And for those players, it's nice. You know, winning is always the nicest thing.
Well,
you know,
especially in the World Cup.
Exactly. It makes football feel good. And I think because some people don't like England, they're trying to semi-normalize winning a game 6-2 at World Cup. This isn't club football. This is this isn't club soccer. This is international soccer. And people need to recognize that.
This is Futbol Americas.
That's right. That's right. We put that.
Football.
That's right. We put it in the title of the show. We've talked a lot about the U.S. number 9s. Let's talk a little bit about England's number 9, Harry Kane.
Yes.
6 goals today.
Yes.
None of them his.
No.
Now, he does have 2 assists, but if you look at the statistics, they don't really paint a great picture. 0 goals, 0 shots, and how about this? Only 18 touches. That is the second fewest touches for Kane in a competitive start for England. So, Nedum, are the bad stats here for Harry Kane, if we take out the 2 assists, which are pretty good stats?
Yeah.
Let's put it this way.
Okay.
Are the 0 shots and 0 goals when your team scores 6? Is it something?
And the touches he had, the amount
lack,
of touches.
Yeah, the lack of touches. Is it something, nothing, or everything in terms of a worry for you from an English standpoint?
As it stands, I think it's nothing.
Okay.
But I think if his style of play continues in this manner, I think it could be something.
Oh, you mean 2 assists per game?
No, what I mean by that is that you mentioned before about Saka and the 15,000 to whatever.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of people that have money on Harry Kane.
Course.
To
Harry
be one
Kane
of
was
the top
actually
scorers.
he was the favorite on the
plus 600.
Exactly.
Like that.
But why would that be? It's
because he was the Golden Boot last World Cup.
And
because England people love goals.
And you assume that his style of play will lend to him having lots of opportunities to score goals. So with that being said, you sort of wonder why, because this side here, he did a good job for the team. The 2 assists were great. England aren't going to be scoring 6 goals every game. At some point, you're probably going to be looking to him to be the talisman. But unfortunately, I think sometimes he drops a little bit too deep. Maybe some of that's for the frustration of having 18 touches.
Listen, Iran was terrible today, but they were a very good team in World Cup qualifying.
Yeah.
Defensively, very, very hard to play against. And England was a team before the World Cup started that had played their last 6 and not won one of those games.
That's right.
And only scored in 2 of those games in their last 6.
That's right.
This is something different. I am less worried about Harry Kane and more worried about the offensive explosion if I'm the U.S. men's national team. I'm actually more worried now about this game than I was earlier, and it has little to do with the English national team.
Yeah.
It has more to do with what they showed me versus Wales, because I already knew that the U.S. suffered versus a low block.
Yeah.
You know, they played well versus a low block. It wasn't until Wales started coming out of their shell and attacking them, going at them, that they struggled. That's exactly what England's going to do.
Yeah, that is true. This matchup against England, I think it's going to be a good game. But I think for the USA, they showed great strength, I thought, in the first half in the way they moved the ball and the like and scored the goal. I thought it was deserved. But in that second half, it was a real test. Like, I don't know if you have the saying, but like to throw the kitchen sink at somebody.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And you assume that whoever you come across on this journey to wherever you're going to be, if the other team is losing, they will throw the kitchen sink at you. And I think as you look at England's depth, they could put in a Harry Kane in there and play him alongside a Callum Wilson.
Well, I'm hoping Harry Kane plays.
Exactly. Obviously. But they can go. England can play well side to side, but they can go very direct as well.
They can hurt you in so many different ways.
And I think ultimately for the US there, we had the discussion, will they be happy with a point? I think some of the defenders, based on how that second half went, they probably finished being quite happy with a point. I don't know if you heard,
but when we were talking about the game, I said this is the game that both teams will walk away feeling disappointed with the draw, but also walking away feeling fortunate with the point.
Yes, I think that's a very, very good way to describe it.
Let me ask you, who's your man of the match today for England? Because there's like literally 11 choices, probably, right?
Yeah.
Maybe outside of Pickford. Or
everyone's saying Jude Bellingham, and I understand why. Because you think about the whole context. He's a 19-year-old playing his very first World Cup, and he scores the first goal.
Yeah.
And it's a goal where he's breaking from midfield, showing that sort of level of maturity in terms of understanding the timing of
it's also his form and the way he's carrying it into the World Cup.
He's literally one of the hottest assets within the whole game now. So I understand why I'd go for him, but there were so many other good performances, and not to be the defensive-minded guy that I am.
But
I thought Declan Rice was exceptional,
right.
But the stuff that he does, nobody really cares about. But the moment he stops doing it, you'll notice, and that will change the whole dynamic for the team.
Is it weird how we think of Bellingham as a 6, but like we're watching the game
and
you're saying
he's not a 6.
You say he's like way more. He's
no,
an 8.
No. I think he's an 8.
Box to box.
Yeah, he's literally box to box, and it's interesting because they got Mason Mount in there, who isn't an 8. He's more like a 10. So the formation, what is it? If you've got a 6, an 8, and a 10
and today, if you
middle.
look at the very first goal when Bellingham scores, I mean, it's Mason Mount who's back to goal, laying the ball off like a 9.
Yes.
That starts the cross that goes into Bellingham. I mean, it was brilliant.
Yeah, they were good today, but I think best of all, they won't get ahead of themselves. I think they've come to this tournament with a real belief that they can win the whole thing, and I think you'll see that through some of their performances. And for them, you know, a lot of us will write them off, but their last 2 tournaments, they made it to a semi-final of the World Cup and the final of the European Championships.
Well, they're one of the 3 betting favorites for Las Vegas. So.
I think that's for a reason.
As Herc mentioned, though, it wasn't a perfect performance, right? There's some vulnerability that we see in that English defense. Maybe there's something else that you picked up on.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN+.